The first time Daniel met her, his son was crying in the middle of a grocery store aisle, and he had exactly $12.46 left in his wallet. Daniel stood frozen, one hand gripping the handle of a rusted cart, the other trying to calm 6-year-old Leo, whose face was red with frustration and hunger. The boy wasn't throwing a tantrum. That made it worse. He was crying quietly, like he'd already learned that loud crying didn't change much. "I know," Daniel whispered, crouching down. "We'll get it next time, okay?" Leo nodded, wiping his nose with his sleeve, even though Daniel had told him 100 times not to. The cereal box Leo wanted went back on the shelf. Again. That's when the woman spoke. "You don't have to put it back." Daniel looked up, already defensive. People usually looked at him with pity or judgment, sometimes both. He saw neither this time. She stood there like she didn't belong in a discount grocery store. Clean coat, calm posture, no phone in hand. Her voice was steady, not sweet, not sharp. Daniel straightened. "It's fine," he said quickly. "We're good." She glanced at the cart, then at Leo. "You're not," she replied. "Not unkindly. Just honest." Daniel felt the familiar burn in his chest. Pride, shame, exhaustion, all tangled together. "I don't need help," he said. "I didn't say you did." She reached out, picked up the cereal box, and placed it back into the cart like it was the most normal thing in the world. Daniel grabbed the cart handle tighter. "Look, I appreciate it, but there's a condition," she said, cutting him off. That made him pause. "You can't ask me for money," she continued, "ever." Daniel blinked. That wasn't what he expected. She crouched slightly to Leo's level. "Is chocolate okay?" Leo looked at his dad first. Daniel hesitated, then nodded. The boy nodded back, hopeful but cautious. The woman stood again. "I'm Evelyn." "Daniel," he said, "and thank you. But I don't understand." "You don't have to," she replied. "Just don't break the condition." At the checkout counter, Evelyn paid without looking at the total. Daniel stood there stiff, hands clenched, feeling like he just stepped into something he didn't understand and couldn't afford. Outside, Leo skipped ahead, hugging the cereal box like it was treasure. Daniel turned to Evelyn. "I'll pay you back." She shook her head. "No, you won't." "Then why?" "Because I want to," she said simply. "And because I'm tired of people pretending help always comes with strings. This one just comes with honesty." He watched her walk to a black car that didn't belong in that parking lot. Before getting in, she turned back. "One more thing, Daniel," she said. "If we see each other again, it won't be because of money. Agreed?" Daniel swallowed. Something about her certainty unsettled him. Agreed. As the car disappeared, Daniel didn't know that this moment, a crying child, a cereal box in a strange condition, had just quietly changed the direction of his life. Daniel spent the rest of the week pretending the grocery store incident hadn't rattled him. He went back to his routine. Early mornings at the auto repair shop. Late evenings helping Leo with homework at the kitchen table that doubled as a desk, a dining surface, and sometimes a place to fall asleep. Life didn't magically improve just because a stranger bought cereal, but something had shifted. Every time Daniel reached for his wallet, he thought of Evelyn's voice. Calm, certain, not pitying him, not rescuing him either, just there. He hated that it stayed with him. 3 days later, his car refused to start. Daniel stared at the hood, grease on his hands, Leo sitting on the curb beside him, swinging his legs. The irony wasn't lost on him. A mechanic with a dead car. If he missed work again, his boss wouldn't say anything directly. He never did. But the looks were enough. "I can walk to school," Leo offered. Daniel shook his head. "No, I've got it." He didn't. By the time they reached the bus stop, Daniel had already accepted he'd be late. Again. That's when a familiar black car pulled up. Daniel felt his stomach drop. Evelyn stepped out, same calm presence, same steady eyes. No surprise on her face, like she'd expected this. "This is just starting to look intentional," Daniel said dryly. She smiled. Just a little. I was in the area. He didn't believe her, but he didn't argue. I'm not asking, he said quickly, just so we're clear. I know, she replied. I remember the condition. She glanced at the car. What's wrong? Starter, he said. Or battery. Haven't checked. She nodded, then looked at Leo. School? Leo looked at Daniel. Daniel sighed. Yeah, I can drive him, Evelyn said. If that's okay. Daniel hesitated. Every instinct screamed no. Pride, fear, control. But Leo's backpack was already sliding off his shoulder, and the bus was pulling away in the distance. Okay, Daniel said finally, but I'll walk. Evelyn didn't argue. She opened the back door for Leo, who climbed in wide-eyed. I'll bring him back, she said. Same time. Daniel watched the car disappear again, feeling something close to helplessness. And something worse. Relief. That evening, when Evelyn dropped Leo off, she didn't leave right away. Daniel stood on the porch, arms crossed. You're pushing the line. She met his gaze. I'm respecting it. You didn't ask. That doesn't mean it's easy. I never said it would be. Silence settled between them, not awkward, heavy. Why me? Daniel finally asked. Evelyn looked past him at the small apartment, the peeling paint, the child's shoes by the door. Because you're trying, she said, and because you don't look at help like it's owed to you, or like it's charity. Daniel exhaled slowly. You don't know me. I know enough. She stepped back. I'll see you around, Daniel. As she walked away, Daniel realized something unsettling. This wasn't a one-time favor. This was the beginning of something he didn't know how to accept and wasn't sure he deserved. Before we continue the story, drop a comment telling me how you liked it, where you're watching from, and give this story a rating out of 10. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the best stories. The first time Daniel saw Evelyn's world, it felt unreal. Not because of the size of her house or the quiet efficiency of the people who worked there, but because of how carefully she tried to shield him from it. She didn't give a tour, didn't explain what things cost, didn't point out views or art. She just made coffee and sat with him at the kitchen island like it was any other place. I don't belong here, Daniel said finally. Evelyn didn't look offended. You don't belong anywhere you're not choosing to be. That helped, a little. Leo explored freely, curious but not overwhelmed. Evelyn's staff treated him like a child, not an accessory. That mattered more to Daniel than he expected. The real test came later, at a charity event. Daniel hadn't wanted to go. Evelyn hadn't pressured him. She just told him where she'd be and said he was welcome if he wanted. He showed up anyway, not in a suit, not pretending, just clean jeans and a button-up he'd worn to job interviews. He felt the looks immediately, curiosity, confusion, assessment. Someone eventually asked the question. So what do you do? A man asked, polite but already dismissing him. Daniel answered honestly. I fix cars. There was a pause. Then Evelyn spoke. He keeps people moving. It's important work. The man laughed awkwardly and walked away. Daniel exhaled. You didn't have to do that. I did, she said. Not because of him, because of you. Later that night they stood on a balcony overlooking a city that never seemed to rest. This is the part where people usually assume things, Daniel said. Like what? That I'm with you for access, or security, or money. Evelyn leaned against the railing. And I hate that I even have to think about it. She turned to him. Then say it. I don't want your money, Daniel said. Not now. Not ever. I want a life I can stand in without feeling smaller next to you. Evelyn's voice was soft. And I don't want someone who needs me to survive. I want someone who chooses me when they don't have to. They looked at each other, the weight of it settling. That night, for the first time, they crossed the line, not rushed, not dramatic, just a quiet, intentional closeness that felt like relief more than passion. Like two people finally setting something down. Weeks passed, life blended. Then the offer came. Evelyn's father passed away peacefully. In the aftermath, Evelyn was named CEO officially, her role no longer something she could compartmentalize. One evening, she sat across from Daniel, serious. "I may need to move," she said, "for a while, another city, maybe longer." Daniel nodded slowly. "Okay, you could come," she added carefully. The silence stretched. "I won't ask you to depend on me," she continued. "And I won't ask you to give up who you are. I just want to know if this, us, is strong enough to survive change." Daniel thought about Leo, about roots, about starting over. "I can't follow you," he said honestly. "Not like that. Leo needs stability. I need to build something that's mine." Evelyn swallowed. "Then this might be where we stop." Daniel shook his head. "Or it's where we see if love can exist without convenience." They didn't decide that night, but for the first time, neither of them felt like they were being tested by the other's world. They were testing something far more fragile, whether love, chosen freely, could hold its shape when life pulled it in opposite directions. The distance didn't break them right away. That surprised both of them. Evelyn moved to the other city within a month. Daniel stayed. Leo stayed. Life kept its familiar rhythm, just with an ache threaded through it. Calls happened late at night. Messages filled the gaps. Sometimes they went days without speaking, not out of anger, but because life demanded too much. Daniel didn't quit his job. He didn't chase opportunity just because it shimmered nearby. Instead, he did something he'd never allowed himself to do before. He planned. With careful saving and a small business loan he qualified for on his own merit, Daniel partnered with an older mechanic who was ready to retire. It wasn't glamorous. It was risky. But it was his. Every long night, every scraped knuckle felt earned. Evelyn noticed the change. "You sound lighter," she said during one call. "I feel grounded," Daniel replied. "Scared, but grounded." Leo adapted better than Daniel expected. Kids always did. "She's not gone," Leo said one night. "She's just far." Daniel smiled. "You're wiser than me." Months passed. Visits happened when they could. No grand gestures, no dramatic reunions, just presence, consistency, effort. Then, quietly, Evelyn made a choice. She didn't announce it. She didn't ask permission. She stepped down from daily executive control and restructured her role, not out of sacrifice, but out of clarity. Wealth had given her options. She finally used them with intention. When she came back for good, she didn't bring an offer. She brought herself. They sat on Daniel's couch, the same worn cushions, the same small space. "I'm not here to save anything," Evelyn said. "I'm here to build something. With you, if you still want that." Daniel looked at her, at the woman who could buy entire streets and yet had learned to sit patiently in uncertainty. "I do," he said. "As long as we keep choosing each other, not the comfort." They moved slowly, merged lives carefully. Leo stayed the center, not an afterthought. Daniel never asked Evelyn for money, and she never offered it in a way that would shrink him. They married quietly years later. No headlines, no spectacle, just people who mattered, gathered for a life that felt honest. Daniel stood in his garage one afternoon, watching Leo help with small tasks, Evelyn sitting nearby reading, and felt something settle inside him. Not relief, belonging. Moral of the story. From this story, we learn that real love isn't about rescue, power, or convenience. It's about respect, patience, and choice. Money can open doors, but it can't replace dignity. And struggle doesn't make someone less worthy of love. It makes them human. We got this lesson from Daniel and Evelyn's journey. When two people meet on equal ground, without obligation or dependence, love doesn't need saving. It just needs time, honesty, and the courage to stay. And sometimes, the strongest bonds are built not by what we give, but by what we refuse to take. Evelyn didn't show up for 2 weeks. Not at the park, not at school pickup, not outside the auto shop. Nothing. Daniel told himself it was for the best. He focused on work, took extra shifts, said yes when his boss asked if he could stay late. He cooked simpler meals, He spoke less. Life narrowed again, like it always did when he was bracing himself. Leo noticed. "Did I do something?" Leo asked one night while brushing his teeth. Daniel froze in the doorway. "No. Why would you think that?" Leo shrugged. "She stopped coming." Daniel swallowed. "People leave sometimes." Leo nodded slowly, like he already knew that. "Mom left too." The words landed heavier than Daniel expected. After Leo went to bed, Daniel sat alone at the table, staring at nothing. He told himself Evelyn didn't owe them anything. She had warned him. He'd pushed back. This was the logical ending. So why did it feel like something had been taken from him? On the 15th day, Daniel got a call from an unknown number. He let it ring. It rang again. He answered. "Hello?" "Daniel," Evelyn said. Her voice sounded different, tighter. "I need to ask you something." His chest tightened. "You're breaking the rule." "I know," she said. "And if you say no, I'll respect it." He closed his eyes. "Ask." "My father is in the hospital," she said. "He's awake, but he's not himself. He keeps asking for normal things. People who aren't staff. I don't know why, but I thought of you." Daniel leaned back in his chair, stunned. "Why me?" "Because you don't treat people like problems to solve," she said. "And because you won't pretend to care." There it was. The real ask. Not money, not rescue, presence. "I can't take time off work," Daniel said carefully. "I'm not asking you to," she replied. "Just an hour. One visit. I'll handle everything else." Daniel hesitated. Pride flared, then quieted. This wasn't charity. This was human. "Okay," he said. 1 hour. The hospital room smelled sterile and quiet. Machines hummed softly. Evelyn's father lay propped up, thinner than his photos suggested, eyes sharp despite everything. "This is Daniel," Evelyn said. "A friend." Her father studied him. "You look tired." Daniel smiled faintly. "I am." "Good," the man said. "Means you're doing something right." They talked about nothing important. Weather, cars, old jobs. Daniel didn't perform, didn't impress. He just showed up. When they left, Evelyn didn't speak until they reached the parking lot. "Thank you," she said. Her voice cracked. "For what?" "For reminding me that life still exists outside boardrooms and hospitals." Daniel nodded. "You didn't disappear because of us, did you?" She shook her head. "I disappeared because I didn't know how to be weak in front of you." He looked at her then, really looked. "You don't have to be strong with me." Evelyn exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath for years. Neither of them reached for the other. But something settled between them. Quiet, real, earned. For the first time, Daniel didn't feel like he was waiting to be left. He felt like he was standing on equal ground. After the hospital visit, things changed. Not loudly, not all at once, but in small, unmistakable ways. Evelyn didn't start showing up more. She started showing up differently. She called first, asked instead of assumed. Let Daniel set the pace. And for the first time since they'd met, Daniel noticed how careful she was not to step into his life too fast. Like she finally understood how easily it could all collapse. One evening, she came over for dinner. Not takeout, not something fancy, just pasta Daniel cooked himself, the kind he'd perfected because it was cheap and hard to mess up. He warned her in advance. "This isn't impressive," he said. "I'm not here to be impressed," she replied. Leo watched them from the table, eyes moving back and forth like he was tracking something important. "You're different now," Leo said bluntly. Evelyn smiled. "How?" "You don't look like you're leaving," he said. Daniel froze. Evelyn didn't. She crouched slightly to Leo's level. "I'm not going anywhere tonight," she said. "And if I ever do, I'll tell you first." Leo studied her, then nodded. That seemed to be enough. After Leo went to bed, Daniel and Evelyn sat in the living room. The silence wasn't heavy this time. It felt earned. "You're good with him," Daniel said. She shrugged. "I listen. That's rare." She looked at him. "So is trust." Daniel leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "I've spent years making sure Leo never needs anything I can't give." Evelyn didn't interrupt. "And then you show up," he continued. And suddenly there are things I can't protect him from, like getting attached. She nodded. That scares me too. Why? Because I don't know how to stay in a life that isn't structured around control. Daniel turned toward her. Then why are you here? She met his gaze, eyes steady but honest. Because I don't want to live behind glass anymore. The words lingered. A week later, Daniel got injured at work. Nothing dramatic, just a bad slip, a twisted knee that made standing painful and working impossible for a few days. Evelyn found out anyway. I'm not asking for help, Daniel said when she showed up. I know, she replied. I'm offering support. She drove Leo to school, cooked without taking over the kitchen, sat quietly while Daniel rested, never making him feel useless. That was what broke him. Not the money she never offered, not the comfort she could easily buy. It was the way she stayed without fixing him. I hate that I need this, Daniel admitted. One night Evelyn shook her head. You don't need me, you're allowing me. There was a difference. The line between them blurred after that. Not physically at first, emotionally, long looks, conversations that drifted late, shared silences that felt intimate. One night Daniel said quietly, if this turns into something, I can't be a secret. Evelyn didn't hesitate. You won't be, and I can't ever feel like I owe you. She stepped closer. You don't. They stood there, close enough to feel each other's breath, neither crossing the final inch. Because this wasn't a rush. It was a slow, deliberate choice. And both of them finally understood what that meant. Daniel didn't tell anyone about Evelyn. Not his coworkers, not the one neighbor he occasionally nodded to in the hallway, not even Leo, beyond a simple she's a friend. Saying it out loud felt dangerous, like naming something fragile might break it. But Evelyn kept showing up, not every day, not predictably, just enough to unsettle him. Once, it was at the school pickup line when Daniel was running late again. Another time, it was outside the auto shop, leaning against her car like she belonged there, watching grease-stained men come and go without a trace of discomfort. She never brought gifts, never handed him cash, never crossed the line they'd agreed on. And that somehow made it harder. You don't have to keep doing this, Daniel told her one evening as they walked side by side down the block. Leo was ahead of them, kicking a rock like it was a game. I'm not keeping score, Evelyn replied. That's worse. She glanced at him. Why? Because I can't figure out what you want. She stopped walking. Daniel took 2 steps before realizing she wasn't beside him anymore. I don't want anything from you, she said. That's the point. Daniel laughed once, sharp and tired. No one does things like this for nothing. That's not true, she said quietly. It's just rare. He looked at her then, really looked. There were faint lines around her eyes that didn't match her confidence, a kind of tiredness that money didn't seem to touch. You're rich, he said before he could stop himself. She didn't flinch. Yes. Why are you spending time here? With me? Because wealth doesn't protect you from loneliness, she said. It just hides it better. That shut him up. They reached his building. Leo ran inside ahead of them, already shouting about homework and cereal. Daniel leaned against the railing. You ever think this is confusing for him? Evelyn nodded. Every time. Then why keep coming back? Because he smiles when he sees me, she said. And because you don't? Daniel frowned. That's not true. She raised an eyebrow. He didn't argue. There was a pause. One of those moments where words piled up but none felt safe enough to say. I'm not your project, Daniel said finally. I know, she replied. If you were, I would have broken the condition by now. That night, Daniel lay awake long after Leo fell asleep. He thought about Evelyn's calm certainty, about how she never tried to fix him, about how she saw the cracks and didn't rush to fill them. And that scared him more than being poor ever had, because poverty was familiar, manageable, predictable. This quiet presence, this slow intrusion into his life without promises or pressure, felt like something he could lose. And Daniel didn't know if he could survive losing one more thing. The first real crack came on a Sunday. Daniel had taken Leo to the park, the same one they always went to. Same swings with chipped paint, same bench with a broken slat. He liked the predictability of it. Life threw enough surprises already. Evelyn showed up halfway through. No warning, no message, just her walking across the grass like she wasn't interrupting anything. Daniel felt a flash of irritation, then guilt for feeling it. "You're early," he said. "I know," she replied. "That okay?" He shrugged. "It's a free park." Leo ran up to her, breathless. "Dad says you work a lot." Evelyn smiled. "Your dad says a lot of things." Daniel shot her a look. She ignored it. They sat on the bench, watching Leo climb and fall and climb again. For a while, no one spoke. Then Evelyn said, "I'm not always going to be around like this." Daniel stiffened. "Is that supposed to prepare me or warn me?" "It's honesty," she said. "You asked for it." He looked at her. "What's that mean?" She took a breath, slower than usual. "My life is complicated. I travel. I have responsibilities that don't pause just because I don't want them to. So this is temporary," he said flatly. "I don't know," she replied. "But I won't pretend otherwise." Daniel nodded, jaw tight. "Good. I don't do temporary." Evelyn studied him. "You already are, every day." That hit harder than he expected. Later, as they walked back, Leo ran ahead again. Evelyn slowed her pace until she and Daniel were a few steps behind. "You're angry," she said. "I'm tired," he corrected. "Of me?" He hesitated. "Of hoping." She stopped walking. "Daniel." He turned to her, frustration breaking through. "You can't just walk into someone's life, act like this matters, then remind them it might not last." Her voice stayed steady. "I didn't promise permanence." "No," he said. "But you made it feel possible." For the first time, Evelyn looked unsure. "I didn't think you'd let yourself feel that," she admitted. Daniel laughed hollow. "Neither did I." They reached the building. Leo was already unlocking the door. Evelyn hesitated. "I'm sorry." Daniel nodded. "Me too." That night, he snapped at Leo for leaving his shoes in the hallway. The look on his son's face haunted him long after the apology. Daniel realized something uncomfortable. Evelyn hadn't given him money. She'd given him hope. And hope, he was learning, could hurt just as much as losing everything else.